What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel Basement. And hold on, guys. Production error on my part. Let me pull up the Discord. I forgot to pull up Discord. And let me get that started. Again, guys, Discord is what I use to accept phone calls. Give me a second. Let me get all the audio levels and everything right over there. And then we'll get to it. We'll get to it. There it is. I'll just check the audio. All right. We are live and popping on the Discord. So you guys who already have the link, definitely grab onto it and come on in. But what I'm going to do really quick before we even get started, man, let me grab the link. I'm going to post it in the chat. And then you guys have at it, man. If you want to come on in, come on in. Fool, you better come on in. Some of y'all know where that's from. Some of y'all may not. But here it is. There's the link right there. So let's get to it. How's everybody doing, man? I hope everyone is having a lovely night. I hope some of you guys have come off of the high of the Pittsburgh Steelers making it to the playoffs, because again, now it's time to reset, refocus, get your mind prepared, optimistic or pessimistic, however you want to do it. But Sunday is over and now we move forward. So let's get to it. Let's say hello to the early commenters and then we'll dive in. We got Drama Seidel in the building. The infamous Tim is in the building. Who else? Aaron Maurice in the building. He says, let's ride the wave. Okay. My guy CT Pittman is in the building. Knight Rider in the building. C Brown is in the building. Vista Light in the building. Rel Fax in the building. Steeler Cards is in the building. Hello, the lovely Lanisha is in the building. Always a special hello to our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation. Salute. Fellas, y'all know the routine. Roll out that red carpet. Treat them with care. Make sure you say hello. I do see the Wonder Bread. I'll get to it in 2 seconds. Who else is up in here, man? My man, Mark Cunningham is in the building. Gold the Lock in the building. Who else? Deshane is in the building. He said, what's up, Wonder Bread man? Who else? My good boy. My boy just text me, guys. Hold on. I was trying to say my guy and my boy at the same time, and it came out good boy. Who else is in the building? My guy. Brother from another, of course, is in the building, man. My guy, Kenyon, is in the building. Who else? Hello, Debbie, the lovely Debbie. Again. Y'all know the routine, man. I shouldn't have to tell y'all. Special hellos to our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation, man. Make sure you treat them with care. What else? Who else? Cade is in the building. And we'll stop right there and we'll get right to the business. Round of applause to the good brother. Rel Fax, appreciate that Wonder Bread, sir. He says, we sent Flacco and Harbaugh out with a proper L. Yeah, I guess you could say that, man, after that long history and that serious rivalry with those two gentlemen. And I will get to the Harbaugh news. I know you guys are probably already chatting it up about it. I'm going to get there. It is absolutely one of my topics. Speaking of Flacco, guys, sidebar, I think I told you guys this probably a few months now. But in our second AAU tournament, y'all remember me telling y'all that we played against Flacco's son, and Flacco was there? I think it was whatever night that was when Flacco played on a Thursday. Because my first thought was, like, what's he doing here? And it was in Philly. The game was in Philly. I was like, what is he doing? And I was like, that's right. They played Thursday, so he was off. Let me tell y'all something. For some of you guys that have never seen some of these NFL and NBA athletes in person, man, Joe Flacco is a big dude, bruh. A big boy. Like, seeing him in person was like, okay, I knew he was a big guy. You know, he's like 6'6", but he's just a big dude. It ain't just his height. He is a big dude. And it just gives you some kind of idea of how big Big Ben is, right? Because, you know, you seen the picture of him and Flacco talking to each other, and they like eye to eye. So as I'm watching Flacco, I'm just like, man, Big Ben probably has to look enormous like that in person as well. But that dude, Flacco is a big boy. Big boy. And I didn't get a chance to talk to him. You know, some of the other kids on the team, like the coach's young son, you know, got a chance to talk to him. I was just going to just say hi. You know, I'm not a starstruck type of person. I've been around so many type of athletes and celebrities and music people. Like, but I was just going to, out of my Steelerness, I was just going to say, hey, man, just wanted to let you know, the headaches and agony that I've had to deal with watching you as a Steelers fan, and, you know, just a salute to him. But didn't get a chance to talk to him or what have you, but that is a big boy, man. Big boy. But all right, man, let's get right into it, man. So here we are, guys, the topics for tonight. We'll get right into it. Let me pull up my list. And we're going to obviously talk about what things I may have gathered from Tomlin's presser. Definitely want to talk about John Harbaugh. And I'm going to talk a little bit about DK Metcalf in the midst of some of that, as well as I want to talk about a quick recap of the Steelers and Ravens, and then a quick look ahead to the playoffs. Very, very quick look ahead. So let's talk about Tomlin. Okay, so Tomlin. Great news for the Steelers, man. He had no real injuries to report. No real injuries to report, which is absolutely phenomenal if you are a Steelers fan going into the playoffs in January. Round of applause really quick. Round of applause to the infamous Tim. I appreciate the Wonder Bread, sir. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever get an answer. He says number 10, he's talking about Roman Wilson, is inactive. He says, what's going on behind closed doors? I will say this. Though none of us have proof, I'm going to stick to what I said. I do not believe it has anything to do with performance. If anything, Roman Wilson was starting to come on, right? And again, some of you guys are going to look at the numbers. Oh, well, he only had such and such catches. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, yes, some of the catches. I'm talking about the separation he was getting and him being on the field, right? And honestly, what other receiver was performing? What other receiver for the Steelers was performing so much where they just overshadowed Roman Wilson outside of obviously your number one in DK? So I don't think it has anything to do with that. What I do think it is, just because we've heard it several times, and Aaron Rodgers or somebody just recently said it this past week, Steelers wanted to get bigger at receiver. I think that's the only thing that does make sense. And veterans. And you kept hearing them talk about, you want to have veterans in key situations because, veterans can kind of been there, done that, play off of each other. That's the only thing I can come up with. I cannot defend him nor get on him because I do not have the hard evidence and the concrete evidence to say why he's not on the field. I can only give you my beliefs. Like I said, I do not think it has anything to do with his performance because outside of DK Metcalf, who was your de facto number one, what other receiver in the Steelers offense during that duration of time keeps Roman Wilson definitively off the field? Not even Calvin Austin. It's not like the Steelers had all of these multitude of options. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I just don't think it was that. But, we'll never know. The Steelers do a good job with, keeping their business in-house. I do see Jay Webb says Scotty Miller has been playing a lot. Yeah, and Scotty Miller's play hasn't been anything for us to say, oh, well, Roman Wilson definitely shouldn't be playing. Again, you don't have to believe me. For any guys, anybody who's opposing Roman Wilson, listen, Alex Kozor did a whole video about it. So I'll just say I'm right there with him. I'm in belief of what Alex Kozor was saying when he posted his video about what Roman Wilson was bringing to the table and him winning battles and getting separation. And the next thing you know, he's not getting playing time. So we'll never know what it is, but I'll stick to my guns until he shows me otherwise. I still have confidence and belief in Roman Wilson. It's his de facto rookie year. I mean, Calvin Austin didn't start coming on until his second actual season. So we'll see. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. All right, so what else did I learn from the Mike Tomlin presser? Again, no injuries is really good news. He said no real injuries to report. Associated, bumps and bruises associated with play, great. But he said none of the people who came back had any adverse action, so that is outstanding going into this playoff game. Tomlin also confirmed, guys, and it's funny that you have to say this, but again, it's a topic of discussion on this show all the time via chat. So, like I said, I'll entertain it for 2 seconds. Tomlin confirmed that there was no intentional plan against Myles Garrett in the last matchup. Just like I said as much right after that game. It's funny how a narrative gets spun, right? And I was trying to figure out where that narrative came from. And then after, I was able to see that Myles Garrett said it himself. And it's funny how Steeler fans, members of Steeler Nation, ran with that. Because Myles Garrett said it, y'all ran with the narrative of they were more concerned with keeping Myles Garrett from breaking the record. And again, they asked Tomlin about it. And honestly, I don't know if the reporter was outright asking that, but he did it in a sneaky way to obviously make it seem like they were focusing heavily on Myles Garrett. And Tomlin answered it the way he should. He said, listen, I keep telling you guys this and you're not listening. We didn't do anything different that we haven't done in any other game to stop Myles Garrett. We did the same thing in the first game. He also had 0 sacks. There you have it. And like I said, guys, take Myles Garrett out of it. Take Mike Tomlin out of it. The plan every single week for opposing offenses is to limit and stop the opposing pass rusher from getting a sack. Like, why is that such an unbelievable thing to think? Myles Garrett just set the sack record, right? And I know some people are salty because, I'm still going to say that should have been a 23rd sack for TJ that year against the Ravens. I agree, but I don't care about who set the record. The Browns haven't done anything. Kudos to Myles Garrett. I think he's a heck of a player. I know some of you guys hate him. I don't. He had that little fiasco with Mason Rudolph. It is what it is. But that dude, you cannot deny, he's a physical freak and well-deserved as an individual effort. But it's like all of the celebration and looking at the season that they had, who cares? You know what I mean? Shout outs to him, but who really cares? It almost was like it was talked about for one night and nobody's talking about it since because what difference did it make in this particular season? But anyway, of course, why wouldn't you game plan to limit Myles Garrett every time you play him? So the fact that was some drawn up story was just hilarious to me. But like I said, the coach confirmed that no, there was no intention of doing that. One other thing else I wanted to talk about that I got from the presser, he talked about Nick Herbert and his versatility and basically him being a hybrid as far as, when they drafted him, he's kind of a tweener, but he literally said the words hybrid, where was he going to be an inside guy? Was he going to be an outside guy? And I think that is very unique in the sense of how the Steelers use him at times. And I just want to put this as an emphasis point. Put an emphasis on this. I don't think we talk enough about the 3 inside linebacker look that they put on the field sometimes. They did it in this game, and Nick Herbert gets a sack. He runs over, I forget which running back it was. I think it was Elam. I think it was Eli, whatever that guy's name is. I don't think it was the Mitchell kid. I don't think we talk about that enough throughout this season. There have been other games where good things happen when we've had both, well, not both, but all three, Herbig, Watt, and Highsmith on the field, and the way they do it, kind of lining Herbig up like more so like an inside backer. I don't think we talk about that formation enough, man, and what it has done in certain games and how it could throw off the defense. So you got to give kudos to whoever is coming up with that, whether it's Terrell Austin or Tomlin or whoever. Got to give them credit for that, man. That look has worked, and it's something different. You know, it's definitely something different. We've discussed it, but I don't think we spend enough time talking about the things like that they attempt to do defensively that is different. So just wanted to point that out. Good utilization, man, of your talent. I think that's all I got as far as his presser. Nothing else really to talk about. You know, of course, he talked about Houston and he answered some questions, and that's about it. So let's move on, man, to DK Metcalf. Just wanted to point out one or two things about DK Metcalf. One, it's very interesting that, again, guys, if you just watch football, you know, I'm not taking full credit for it, but remember I told you guys on Tuesday that I expected the Ravens to play man again, even though we kind of hurt them when they were in man because DK Metcalf was having his way in the first game. Remember I said I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and they run man again because that's what they preferred to do. Now they don't have to worry about DK Metcalf. Now they don't have to roll coverage to one side, and you can be more confident that your guys can beat our guys because we didn't really have any significant receivers, so to speak. The Ravens' pass defense has not been good. So I kind of figured, you know, hey, we gonna just line up man to man and make the best man win. Maybe they don't trust them so much in zone. So I had a feeling that was going to happen, and you saw that quite a few times in that game. That was the DK Metcalf effect. I think if DK Metcalf is playing in that game, the Ravens probably run a ton more of zone. And, you know, who knows how that would have worked out as far as our passing attack, even though Aaron Rodgers still did what he had to do when he needed to do it. But I wonder if would our plan have changed any more if we start seeing more zone and less man. But it's very interesting, again, guys, how one player can dictate everything else. On the flip side of that, when Hamilton went out, we took advantage of that. Clearly in the past game, they were a little more compromised without Kyle Hamilton. So that's what football is all about, guys. It's the chess match. The other thing about DK Metcalf, I just wanted to point out, I don't understand why you all as fans have this overarching idea and opinion about players that you don't know. Like now, all of a sudden, he's a horrible player. I've even seen people saying he's a trash human being. First and foremost, guys, listen, what he did, no excuse for that while on the job, right? But in no way, shape, or form have I ever, in my opinion, since that man has been in the league, regardless of him being feisty or whatever you want to call him, no way, shape, or form have I ever walked away thinking that DK Metcalf was a horrible person. I don't get that. Even from the way he talks, how he talks to people, he addresses everybody with ma'am, sir. I just don't understand you all sometimes as fans. When a player does one thing, now all of a sudden they're the worst human being you've ever seen. Like, we got to stop doing that, man. And I would take it a step further and say, stop doing that as a person. As people, we got to stop doing that. We do too much judging of people and we don't know them. And, you know, over the years, I've definitely tried to get that out of my, out of my psyche. None of us are perfect. I'm sure we've all done that at some time in our lives, but that doesn't mean that you can't be better the next day. Stop judging so much. Like, what? Stop having such an opinion about people you don't know. You know what I mean? We can have an opinion about them as ball players, and you can have an opinion of who you perceive them to be personally, but man, to just keep digging in. Oh, he's trash. Oh, he's this. Dog, y'all need to stop, man. Because until that point, we had no problems out of DK Metcalf. And we don't know the other side of the story. And all the stories coming out saying that this dude has had to deal with this guy in previous years, almost like stalkerish. Now, like I said, I don't condone him doing what he did while on the job, but we don't know the history of that. All the videos coming out showing that guy is basically trying to get a money grab. So stop talking about that man like that. That's just my opinion. If you want to do it, but y'all know what I'm all about, man. Spread love. So I'm always going to say that. Yeah. And outside of that, I'm happy that he's back, man. One more weapon. And I really like the way he handled the interview. Reporters, listen to me. Reporters, beat writers. Can we stop asking the same question? That man had to say, for the 5th time, I can't talk about that. What is your obsession of trying to, you're not going to get smart people to slip up. If I'm in a room full of reporters, I'm reading the room. Read the room. If this guy already asked the question, I know by the time it gets to me the 5th time, they're not going to answer it. It's just, you're wasting time in the interview, in my opinion, when you do that. But we got Wonder Bread, man. So let's get to a round of applause to the last king of Scotland. I appreciate that, brother. He says, watch A-Rod versus Houston's pass rush. Same starters last season, and he played well. Got the ball out quick and was only sacked 2 times, 3 touchdowns, 120 QB rating, and a win. Sounds good. You said last year, so that was the Jets, right? Okay. Now, every game is a different game, but I definitely understand your sentiment. I think that is the way that you want to approach it. Don't become a statue back there. Get the ball out quick. You would have to imagine that a D'Amico Ryans is going to pay attention to some of the short game that the Steelers likes to run, like we did against the Ravens. The quick stuff to Warren and Gainwell. So, but, Aaron Rodgers is a veteran. He'll take his shots. He'll take his spots. He'll know when to dump it, you would expect. But good observation there, last king of Scotland. Appreciate the Wonder Bread once again. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. The next thing I wanted to get into, let's talk about John Harbaugh. And I'm going to take a sip of water here just to allow you guys to gather your thoughts. And I'll come right to you with my thoughts. Got to stay hydrated, guys. I drink tons of water. It's never been a problem with me doing that. I'm going to actually sit back in the chair for this one. I already know what type of effect this is going to have on Steeler Nation. But I ain't even going to go there. Let's just talk about John Harbaugh, because some interesting news came out right before this show. Shout out to my good brother Kenyon. He sent me the text. And we'll talk about that in a second in terms of what might have led to the decision. But let me say this about John Harbaugh, man. I'm going to say the same thing that you've heard me say about Mike Tomlin. I think John Harbaugh is a really good, might even say great football coach. There's not a whole lot of evidence to tell me otherwise. Do I think Harbaugh sometimes has made some questionable decisions in terms of going for it? on fourth down and may have gotten them in some trouble? Sure. But I think John Harbaugh is a good football coach, man. Again, I'm going to say the same thing that you've heard me say about Mike Tomlin. I don't think a bad coach can have that much success year after year. Now, yes, John Harbaugh now has 2 losing seasons under his tenure with the Ravens, right? They've made some very decent playoff runs under his tenure. He's got himself a Super Bowl championship under his tenure. I think he's been very successful as the Baltimore Ravens coach. Him, and you got to give most of the credit to Ozzie Newsome, but you got to include the head coach in that as well. Them having the wherewithal to jump back into that first round and grabbing Lamar Jackson and figuring out what they needed to do with Lamar Jackson when Joe Flacco was still there, having a little packages and stuff for him and working it in and then completely turning and shaping that offense completely around Lamar Jackson and a 2-time MVP. They just haven't won the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying. I think the man is a good football coach. But, hey, 18 years is a long time. Maybe it was time for change. I don't know exactly how the Ravens fans feel about, but I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure it's probably the same thing that the Steeler Nation feels, those who don't want Mike Tomlin. I'm sure it's the same argument that way. And I'm sure some of the fans, some of the Baltimore Ravens fans probably feel like, oh, oh, it finally happened and they're happy. They're jumping up and down. But let me caution you, Baltimore Ravens, with this. John Harbaugh has built a culture over there. Let's see how the Ravens are without him. Led by Lamar Jackson, because the reports came out courtesy of Ian Rappaport, and I'm going to say allegedly, per his sources, Lamar Jackson and other players weren't sure they wanted to continue playing for him as their head coach. And the reports are that he lost the locker room. You know the reports they always say about us. They always say, oh, Tomlin may have lost the locker room. They always say that. But now there are reports coming out about our division rival. Maybe, I don't know. I would just say to those players and to the fans, hey, man, be careful what you ask for. Sometimes it takes a couple years or so to build culture. Look at the Detroit Lions. Took a few years for Dan Campbell to build that culture. And yet they had a worse season this season. I'm just saying. Be careful at what you ask for. Like I said, I think John Harbaugh is a good coach, man. And good luck to him going forward. And that's all I have to say about that. Round of applause to my good brother, Brent Fox, man. Look at that, man. Family member since 50 months ago. Round of applause. Appreciate that, sir. He says, late but salutes him and the Steeler family. Despite the erratic play, I believe this team can win Monday. Thanks for all you do. Nah, man, thank you. Thanks for all you guys do. Because again, man, you guys and gals are the ones that keep me going. If you guys weren't here, what would this be? So thank you all for your support, man. Each and every one of y'all, whether you are an extended family member, whether you are a continuous Wonder Bread giver. And like I said, guys, no time soon, but again, and I'm going to have that conversation with you guys. I'm very much contemplating, man, at some point, taking a leap of faith, man, and jump into another platform, like a Patreon. But we'll see. We'll see. We are a family, guys, so I think any decisions I make, I'm always going to involve you guys and get your opinion. That's just how I treat you all. But let's get to it. What else do we have? Yeah, that's all I got on John Harbaugh, man. Listen, I think he's a great coach, man. I think he's been a phenomenal coach for the Ravens. Again, he got him a championship, constantly had them in contention, even with his 2 losing seasons, but constantly had them in contention. And again, look, their aspirations was different, right? You know, we just want to win a playoff game since 2016. When you look at the Ravens, they've won multiple playoff games and still haven't done anything. So it's still, ultimately, it comes down to winning the Super Bowl and the fans' expectations. Because again, me personally, I don't think again, guys, we're only talking this way because you have an 18-year and a 19-year. We're talking about Tomlin and Harbaugh. We're only talking about this because of the duration of time that they were with the teams, Tomlin still currently being with the team. That's the only reason it's a conversation. If this was a 6-7 year stint, nobody would be saying anything. So again, I'm not gonna, I get why we could be spoiled as fans, but I just want to remind people that it's not easy winning the Super Bowl. If it was, some teams strike gold. Most of us have seen in our lifetime, just thinking about the age demographics here on the show, as far as everybody who watches, there are people who watch this show that saw the 70s Steelers. Wow, what a team of the 70s. There's absolutely people on this show that saw the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s. Wow, what a team they had in that little 3, 4, 5 year span. Absolutely, most of you guys watching this show, you saw that New England run. You saw that New England run, right? And then here we come in the early 2000s, 2010-ish. Here we come, we get us a couple more. Ben get us a couple more. We go to another one, can't quite pull that one out. So you looking at that team like, man, them Steelers, #1 defenses consecutive years in a row, right? So the Steelers have had a run twice since the 70s. But ever since then, here comes now in the more recent years, the Kansas City Chiefs. But you see what I'm saying? In those eras, in those runs, I mentioned the Steelers twice. And there were only a couple other teams, Cowboys and the Patriots. It's not easy. But I get why all of us are, you feel like you're a little impatient because it's been 19 seasons with one head coach, and it's been literally, year-wise, 10 years since a playoff win. I get it, but I'm saying it's a unique situation with the Ravens, what they had and what the Steelers have with Tomlin. And it could very well be 10 more years of up and down seasons with a coach that we keep for 3 years. And then up and down seasons with a coach that we keep for 4. Then up and down seasons with a coach in his first 2. That's 10. Or almost 10. That's 9 if I'm doing the rough math. See what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. I don't disagree with the time being up for Harbaugh. Like I told y'all, I don't even disagree if the Steelers decide they want to move on after 19 years. I'm just saying to you guys as a fan base, I'm just saying, we could very well be the Browns and the Cardinals and the Falcons, all these teams that just, that's all. But I get it, guys. Listen, I'm not going to argue it. It's a long time, man. It's a long time. But all right, man, that's all I got on that. Let's see. I got a couple other things, man, before I'm ready to open it up to the callers. I don't really think I need to do much of a recap, man. I think maybe that's what I'm going to change up definitely in next season. I don't think I really need to do much recap on Tuesday. I think I've gotten pretty good with recapping the game on Sunday. I think my knee-jerk reactions have been spot on in my opinion, this season. That's my opinion. Y'all tell me. A couple little things that I saw, man, again, you know, it reminds me. It reminds me. Because this is my first notation here with one of the plays that I'm going to show. And let me say that. I would be the first to not run away and try to hide and make excuses. Guys, I have not been up keeping my end of the bargain with the footage. I know this year I've missed a couple weeks. I've been extremely busy, but there's no excuse. I just need you guys to charge it to my head and not my heart. I will not miss again this week because I want to show you guys some of these plays. And the first one I have notated, the first touchdown to that kid, what's his name, Waller, which reminds me, you thought you were going to get away, didn't you? Come on, sir. Come on, Mr. Ramsey. Come on in, my friend. Jalen Ramsey. Man, it pains me to do this for several reasons. As a diehard Nose fan, you know I've been there with you since the beginning, brother. Everybody on this show knows how I feel about personality of player. And boy, do you have that dog personality in you. Love it. And I try not to be so critical of you, sir, especially when you were playing cornerback because you're a little older. You know, you've bypassed that 30-year mark, if I'm not mistaken. Ramsey's, you're 31, aren't you, sir? And if I'm wrong about that, the chat will let me know. But with all that said, my brother, you got beat like Questlove drums, brother. You got beat like some Questlove drums on that first touchdown. I don't know what. I don't know what you were doing. We were in a straight up man situation against Bunch. And I'm going to call it no safety help in the middle of the field because you were rolled up. Kind of gave that zero look because there was nothing behind you. You're in the middle of the defense, but up on the line, out of Bunch. And your guy that you're supposed to keep an eye on is coming right at you. And you let him get all the way across your face before you turn and run. What were you doing? That's all I want to know. You have been a Pro Bowler, phenomenal athlete, outstanding player, Super Bowl champion. I don't care about any of that on that, but what were you doing? And it happened more than once in this game, Mr. Ramsey, where you seemed to it's almost like you forgot that you were last line of defense. You know that they got you lined up at free safety. You know that, right? Post safety. But I saw you. I saw what you was doing. You this. Peeping Ramsey. Peeping in the backfield. What are you looking back there for? And you know ain't nobody behind you. I've been seeing you do that a couple times, Mr. Ramsey, this year. I've been seeing it. I just ain't said nothing because I love you. I love you as a player. You were my guy when you were in college. But I saw it, and you've been doing it a lot this season. You get the peeping Tom. Stop peeping in the backfield when you know behind you is what needs to be protected. Can you please stop doing that? Because guess what? This kid that we about to play against Monday will throw that thing right over your head. Come on, man. Listen, everybody gets beat once in a while. It happens to the greatest. Even Deion Sanders used to get beat here and there. It happens. But after you make a mistake, you're supposed to make an adjustment, sir. Player execution. This is exactly why, Mr. Ramsey, I sit on this show and I debate people all about time. I debate people all the time about, is it coaching or player execution? You made it very easy for me in that game. You made it very easy for me, and you're going to make it even easier for me when I show the film. Hey, but I still love you, dog. Largely, you've played very well once being moved to safety. And hey, I still like the dog. I still like the fight. I still like that you'll come up and hit. But please stop peeking in the backfield, please. Especially when you know there's no help back there. Dismiss, brother. Y'all, wait till I show you. I mean, you can see it on the TV tape. I don't know what this dude was doing, bro. I really don't. I really don't. But just to give you guys a preview, I'm definitely going to show each one of those deep shots, touchdowns by the Ravens. I'm going to show a play, huge block, man, on the 20-yard scramble by Aaron Rodgers. You know, MVS didn't even have to block the guy. He did the smart block, and he just put his body in the way and allowed Aaron Rodgers to scamper 20 yards. I'm going to show in the third quarter, I think it was a second down, that shot to Thielen. What a throw by Aaron Rodgers. But outside of that, I got some more plays that I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to get that to you very soon. That is a promise. That is a promise. But before we go to the Discord, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. It is time to discuss those players who deserve the big hat moment. The big hat moment. The big hat moment. Before we get all the way to it, round of applause to my good brother C.T. Pittman, man. I appreciate it again. Extended family member for 18 months. We appreciate that support, brother. CT, haven't watched it all yet either. I only watched that play in terms of Ramsey because, you know, on Tuesdays, because of my schedule and all that, me having to commute, I had to go back. You know, I was at home for Tuesday for several weeks during the holidays, but now Tuesday I still have to travel and commute. The one day in the office, I can't complain. I don't get a chance to really watch the 22, and usually until later tonight or tomorrow, right? On that play, though, he won't in no robber situation. Not on that first touchdown. He was not. But we're going to see it. I got you, CT. We're going to look at all of those passes, and we're going to really break it down and say, all right, what were they playing there? We'll get to it. But all right, guys, first and foremost, man, I'm going to give all of these big hat moments together. I think it's too much to, keep playing it, So I got 4 of them. I'm going to try to do them in the order in which they deserve. And the first one, I'm going to introduce 2 people together. So it's 4 big hat moments, but 2 of them I will introduce together. And the first and the second one that I'm going to introduce are kind of interchangeable because I feel this way about all 3 of these gentlemen. The last one is going to be super obvious. But I'm going to start with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Man, round of applause to these guys. So here it is. Kenneth Gainwell has just been it all year, man. The guy won the MVP. I don't think we really talked about that enough. So that's why I'm throwing him into this. He made some plays Sunday night as well. But then his compadre. That Jaylen Warren is something special to behold, man. This guy is just... Y'all know I didn't realize he was Polynesian? Or Samoan, or is that all the same? Because please forgive me if anybody that's from that culture. I'm not being a defensive. Offensive. I really don't know. I think Polynesian is the whole thing. You know, kind of like Palomalu and them. Whatever he's linked to, I did not know that about Jaylen Warren. And there's a reason why I'm saying that. Those dudes are tough. It makes sense. I didn't know that. I had no idea. His mother is from that culture. His dad is African-American, black, whatever, however you want to call it. I did not know that. I recently found that out before the game, like a couple days before that. And I said, oh, well, you know, he do kind of look like, you know, when you look at him, you can tell he's of mixed race, but I didn't know exactly what. But the reason why I'm saying that is it all makes sense. Them dudes are beyond tough. And now that I know that, it matches his play style. Of course. Of course that's what he is. And I'm only saying that, guys, because, again, I have never met in my travels, whether it's Polynesian or Samoan, I have never met anybody from that background that was not tough. And I'm talking about sports. They just different, bro. So that's why I'm bringing that up. This is not a race thing. I'm just saying, yes, every one of those guys that I've ever known, and gals, are some heck of athletes, man. I'm telling you. Outstanding. So I was just saying that just, again, because it was something that I learned. So, you know, has nothing to do with anything. And again, if anybody feels a way about me saying that, whatever. Everybody knows I'm not saying that derogatorily. But yeah, that's a tough dude, man. Yeah, like Fautanu. It's a tough dude, man. Jaylen Warren is just, man, he's incredible, man. That's all I can say about him. He's incredible. That's it. Yeah, he's not a household name, because I think one of the reporters said that to Tomlin, but this guy is just, you know you're special to me when I say these words. You can play on my team any day of the week. Any day of the week, Jaylen Warren can be on my team. And man, Kenneth Gainwell, boy, them two as a duo, boy, we got a special duo right now. And Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all better pay that man. Bring that back. Run it back. Run it back. And yes, I still have high hopes for Caleb Johnson, but he can wait. He's on a rookie contract. Run it back. I want to see Warren and Gainwell again. Phenomenal. So those guys absolutely get a big hat moment. Next one. Aaron Rodgers. Round of applause. Kenyan. Boy, Kenyan. Inside joke. Aaron Rodgers, man. Listen. I wasn't in favor of Aaron Rodgers coming to the Steelers. And I told y'all why. Again, people always try to, but that ain't what you said, Sam. Y'all try to twist my words all the time. I explained to y'all exactly why I did not want Aaron Rodgers. I led with saying, listen, he can still play. But my opinion was, I want the Steelers to just finally bite the bullet and go young. Keep shooting until you hit the target. You missed with Kenny Pickett. So what? You got more bullets in your clip. Keep shooting until you hit the target. Go through the official rebuild. The common denominator with the majority of the playoff teams, young franchise quarterback. The exception to the rule is Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford, much like Aaron Rodgers, still has a beyond lively arm these guys are outplaying their age. Now, Aaron Rodgers had a moment in the game, that first scramble, where he looked 42. No disrespect to him. He's supposed to look like that. But then he follows it up and digs in and gets a 20-yard scramble later on. But again, outside of Stafford and Rodgers, the common denominator with most of these emerging good teams, young franchise quarterback. That's what I want the Steelers to continue to try to find. That's what we all thought they were going to potentially do. Some of y'all swear by them, waiting for 2026, and now let's see. Let's see now. Because look at draft position now. Yeah, we got a bunch of draft picks, but yeah, that means they're going to have to trade up. But let's see, who's the target? It ain't quite the same targets that we came into this college football season with. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers been proved to us that he can still play. And it's not only just how he plays, it's the veteran, man, him being an extra coach on the field is just amazing. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm giving him the big hat moment because, man, some of them throws, I hope y'all really paid attention to it. Some of those throws he made in that game. That shot to Adam Thielen, bruh. Bruh. Come on, man. I mean, just, come on, man. And you can't overstate even the throw to Calvin Austin. Yeah, he's wide open, but guys, that's not an easy throw for a lot of quarterbacks to put it where he put it, right? He threw the ball when Calvin made the double move. And Calvin was able to just run right under it. But again, wide open. But that throw to Adam Thielen. And remember one of them bullets he threw to Freiermuth. Aaron Rodgers played like an old wily veteran in that game. And I got to give him some credit and show him some love. And that is why he is getting a big hat moment. Last but not least, y'all already know who it is. Y'all should. Big Cam Hayward. There's not enough that I can say about Cam Hayward. There's really not enough words to describe Cam Hayward, man. Cam Hayward is the quintessential Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything that we know and that they say about the Steeler way and the culture, and I even say the pulse of the city, the culture of the city from people that I know that live or from the Pittsburgh area, and that gritty, blue collar, tough football, steel town. It's Cam Hayward from the area. He embodies it. Still, at age 36, the dude is 30 yards downfield trying to make a play on a Derrick Henry run, as if he's going to catch him. Do y'all remember? This was, I'm trying to remember what year it was. Maybe 3 seasons ago? 2-3 seasons ago. Remember Cam Hayward, how far downfield he ran to catch Justin Herbert? Y'all remember that in L.A.? I think that was in L.A. Do y'all remember that play? This has been his whole career. The hardest working man on the field. And that ain't taking nothing away from nobody else, because TJ is a dog too. I think Highsmith is a dog, all of them. But Cam's still doing it at 36 years old, still setting the example, being the example. Did y'all really pay attention to how Cam was playing in that game? Like, seriously. I know sometimes at first watch, you can't, you don't always necessarily know what happened if you don't intently watch. Cam Hayward was trying to stop the run by himself. Literally by himself. There was that one play that they pitched it out to Henry, and if you're watching the TV, they're coming towards us. So it's the left sideline, and Cam's like using the arm bar to get the guy off and scrape all the way down and hit Henry for just a yard. And it was all night. Cam doing what he does best, tipping the pass. Like, how many pass deflections does Cam Hayward have in his career? Shoot, how many does he have since age 34, right? For the last 3 seasons, how many tip passes does this man have since then? Phenomenal. And mark my words, and I will be wearing it on this show at some point. I got jerseys that I've never worn on the show. Silly me, but I will be buying a Cam Hayward jersey. Y'all have heard me say this before. Cam Hayward is one of my favorite Steelers of all time. One of my personal favorites of all time, of my era of watching the Steelers. And there's many players that fall in that, but the man that Cam Hayward appears to be on and off of the field, his determination, his grit, his fight, his skill. One of my favorite Steelers of all time, man. And I will be purchasing that man's jersey. So round of applause again to my guy, Cam Hayward. Big game. And there you have it, guys. So just wanted to acknowledge just a few guys on the squad that was deserving this week of the Big Head Moment. And we back. Now, let me scroll back up, man. Round of applause to the infamous Tim. I saw the Wonder Bread. Quick round of applause. He says, please get me on because I disagree with you about number 5. Great. Guys, let me tell y'all something about me. I'm open for different interpretations. I'm open for being wrong. I don't know everything. I really don't. I absolutely could be wrong. I have not watched the film. I have not watched it all 22, so it could be something I'm seeing on the TV tape that might not be the case. So I love these type of moments. I'm always willing to be educated and things of that nature. Listen, I know football, but I don't know everything about football. Y'all know my rule. Well, this is in case you don't know it. Hey, I never want to be the smartest person. When you're the smartest person in the room, you ain't learning nothing. So that's how I feel. So let's get to it. Actually, I do see Tim already in the queue. Tim as well as Cur Dog. So we'll go ahead and grab my guy Tim first. Hold on, let me get him on. Here we go. What up, Tim? What you got for us?
Hey, Sim. Yeah, I just wanted to disagree with you a bit on the first touchdown that we gave up. You're not wrong in that Jalen Ramsey was lined up one-on-one with that slot receiver. But I just want to add some context for some Steelers fans. If you go back and you watch that play for context, it is 4th down and 2, and we are calling essentially like a sugar blitz. It's a cover 0, so you're right, there is no free safety, and it's a cover 0, which means if you're not in man coverage, you are blitzing. You're sending the house. So Jalen Ramsey, you can see him kind of shade to the inside, so he's going to play the receiver's outside shoulder. And when he gets the stem, it's a bit of a skinny post. Jalen's eyes are on Lamar because it's a post, so obviously your body's going to be facing the quarterback. And since it's a 4th and 2 and we're sending a blitz, he's anticipating that ball is coming out lightning quick. Unfortunately, the rush didn't get there, so the receiver just ran up and behind Jalen Ramsey. Now, I'm not making an excuse for him losing the rep. Yes, he lost the rep, but the reason why he kind of played underneath is because he assumed that ball was going to come right now. You can even see him almost get his arms out to make a play on the ball because he assumed the ball was going to be coming out immediately. So I just wanted to add some context because we've been saying as Steelers fans, our biggest problem with Terrell Austin's defense is we have this mindset of make the play rather than going out and making a play. Tackle the catch rather than going out there and trying to force an incompletion or force a turnover. Jalen was trying to make a play rather than just making the play. If he stays pat and he plays out, over the top on the receiver, it's more than likely just going to be a catch and, first down. Granted, you'd prefer that, but he is anticipating that rush getting there because we send an extra guy. A lot of times that game, we saw it over and over and over again. The rush was not the problem. We were getting home at Lamar Jackson. We just couldn't finish. You saw it one time, I think it was on the last drive. Nick Herbig had a chance to really kind of ice the game. He has Lamar Jackson wrapped up, spins him around, and Lamar is just able to kind of toss it out of bounds. Alex Highsmith and Keanu Benton both crashed on Lamar Jackson at the exact same time. And then Lamar is able to just step out of it, and he throws a bomb over Patrick Queen's head, which is a touchdown. And that's not really on Patrick Queen. He's a linebacker covering a wide receiver in space. You never want that. And it was an inverted cover too. So he's playing that hook. He's playing that hook zone between the two safeties. Kyle Duggar bites on the corner route on the far side, and Joey Porter Jr. is playing the other deep half. Well, it's only Patrick Queen with about 20 yards of separation, and Zay Flowers is behind him. He got beat because, one, he's a linebacker covering a receiver, and the receiver got behind him because he's expecting safeties to be behind him, and two, because the rush just didn't get there. Yes, Jalen Ramsey lost that rep, but we have to add some context for these guys. You don't want him to give up the touchdown, but you got to understand, he's thinking it's 4th down and 2, and Derrick Henry's on the field. He's thinking that ball is coming out quick. It didn't. Rush didn't get there, and he got beat. That's all I had for you. Oh, one last thing before I go. Roman Wilson being inactive is ridiculous. He should not be getting out-repped by a guy named Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a guy who's been getting passed around. He's been getting passed around more than Bonnie Blue. If you know who that is, shame on you. Have a good one.
Man, Tim, I appreciate the call, man. I really, really appreciate that. Was an excellent call. Let me start off with that, guys, because I usually don't see it until I watch the film. Some of you guys notice stuff like that immediately on TV tape. I don't. I'm kind of looking at all these different facets, but I love the analysis by Tim, right? And let me explain what I really loved about that. I completely forgot that was 4th and 2. See, this is why this is like a collaborative thing with you guys. I forgot it was 4th down. You're absolutely correct. As soon as you said that, I do remember now Tarico or one of them saying they're expecting the ball to come out. Clearly they were blitzing. Like I even said, we were giving them the zero look, right? So very plausible that Jalen Ramsey was anticipating what was going to happen and hung there for a moment and was going to try to jump it. And again, guys, I don't want to be a victim of results bias. Again, that's why I got on Jalen Ramsey, but I still say, hey, you played great, guy. I'm not going to kill him for that. It's all in fun with the office visit and all of that. However, there's a very good point that Tim made, right? Had he made the play, then we would be praising him taking a chance. But if you're going to be a risk taker, sometimes you're going to give up things, right? And maybe that's exactly why he was peeking in the backfield, obviously, because if it was 4th down, great point. Great point right there, Tim. So thanks for bringing me back to earth there. And I thought maybe also, man, when you play that tight, you got 5 yards. You can chuck the receiver. You can get hands on him when he crosses your face. So the thing that I just didn't like was how easily he crossed his face. That's the only thing I didn't like, because looking at it in real time, it just looks like it happened so easy. But again, if you're peeking in the backfield, then dude is up on you so fast. So great call by Tim. We appreciate that, man. I really do. All right, next call, man. Let's bring on who we got here. Cur Dog. What you got for us?
Yeah, what's going on, Sam? Appreciate you taking my call. Yeah, so I agree with everything you said about the big hat moments and the key players on defense, offense. But I just want to ask you one question real quick. Do you think are constructed right now, looking at it as this team is right now, do you think they are good enough, talented enough to win this game against the Houston Texans?
Oof.
I'm just
man.
asking, like.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Definitely thanks for the call and question. Let me try to answer it. Might as well talk about that now. I was going to save it, but might as well talk about it now, right? What is my outlook for the playoffs? Can they beat the Texans? The Texans don't have such a potent run game. They can get the run going. I forget what the kid's name is. What's the kid's name? I think his last name is like Marks. Like, he's been running the ball fairly decent for them in spots. Nothing elaborate. Chubb hasn't been Chubb. They're not scaring anybody right now in the run game, right? So if we can bottle their run game up and I don't want to say it disrespectfully and say force CJ Stroud to pass because he's capable, but I like the Steelers' chances anytime we make a team one-dimensional because of the rush that we have. There's a chance there. Now, offensively, am I concerned? Yes. Not so much with that phenomenal tandem that they have at pass rush, but if we are unable to run the ball, right? And again, you can say that each and every time you line up, but that's the way the Steelers are built. You think about this last Ravens game, man. Yes, Kyle Hamilton went down, which helped, but once we start running the ball better, now a lot of things was opening up. Even the middle of the field was opening up. And Aaron Rodgers, being a veteran, was taking advantage of all of that. If the Steelers can run the football with Gainwell and Warren, dare I say, the Steelers have a chance to win this game against the Texans. I don't think the Texans are as scary as some people would think they are. Yes, that defense is really good. Cleveland's defense was really good, and we lost that game by this much. See what I'm saying? So I think if defensively, if we can play the same game we basically played against Cleveland, and I'm just saying because Cleveland has a good defense too, with a little more offense, right? Again, great defense in Houston, great defense in Cleveland. Every defense can be scored on. You see what I'm saying? So if we can play a little better offensively, and we're able to run the ball, there's a chance. There's a chance. I will say that, Cur Dog, they have a chance to win the game. Yes, they do. They do. But this Houston defense is special, man. So it might have to be another Aaron Rodgers game. It might have to be Aaron Rodgers taking advantage of the matchups. DK Metcalf, I think, will help because you got to respect DK Metcalf, right? So, we're going to have to rely on other guys to win. I think, hey, you look more for Pat Freiermuth, especially if, I don't know if Houston is more of a man or a zone team, but if they run zone, look to get Freiermuth sitting in that zone, look for the middle of the field, look for the seams. And like I said, it all opens up with the run game, man. So let's say this, if the Steelers can play offensively a second half, like that second half against the Ravens, I think there is a chance to beat the Texans, because I think we can keep it a low-scoring game against them. I don't think that they explode offensively. We're going to have that work cut out for us with Collins, but I don't get the sense that the Texans will explode offensively. They haven't really had a ton of games like that. But we'll see, man. It's hard for me to call it. It's hard for me to stamp it and say, yes, they will, because I still don't have full trust in this team competing like that consistently, if that's fair. So we'll see, but we got some Wonder Bread, man. Jay Webb, round of applause, brother. Appreciate that. He says, we need DK to pull attention as well, but facts, as usual, Sam, we can't play scared. We definitely can't play scared. We definitely can't play scared, man. And we definitely need DK to be a force out there, whether he's catching balls or he's a decoy. I see Knight Rider's comment. He says DK only has 2 100-yard games this season. Man, this is what I'm going to say about the individuals on the team. This offense hasn't really been predicated on feeding DK the ball. What I mean by that is we've been saying all season that Arthur Smith's offense is not really a scheme receiver open type of offense. We've been saying, you guys have been saying consistently that DK Metcalf is not your typical number one receiver. DK Metcalf has primarily been used to deep shot down the field, try to hit him on a go ball and stuff like that. I'm only saying that because that type of receiver, how often are you going to get 100-yard games if those are the targets you're getting? I'm not making an excuse for him. I'm just saying we get so caught up. And again, Knight Rider, I'm not disagreeing with you, to that degree. I'm just saying we as fans get so caught up in individual stats and this guy doesn't have this, and TJ doesn't have sacks, and it. But you guys, a lot of times we don't look at everything around it. Why is that the case? Why hasn't DK, just what I would say, what guys, the last 6-7 weeks, maybe the last 6-7 weeks is when we finally start passing the ball more aggressively. Most of the time we've been able to run it and things like that, and the run game has gotten us wins, and we've put up points. So you have to pay attention to the style of offense. You understand what I'm saying? That to me, it matters. That's why some guys are not going to have gaudy stats, because it's just, what are they being asked to do in the Arthur Smith system? What are they being asked to do out of 12 personnel where it's easy for a team to roll coverage to DK Metcalf? You just got to think about it like that. And again, he's not an Antonio Brown type of number one. He's not even a Deontay Johnson type in terms of routes and separation. So to me, there's always context there. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, not disputing your opinion. I'm just giving my opinion based off of what you said. That's all. What else y'all got, man? Give me a couple more and then I'm out of here. Real Fact says Rodgers, throughout his entire career, has never depended on a singular receiver ever. Closest was Jordy Nelson, and he had a similar skill set as DK. Rodgers likes to spread it around. That too, man. That too. And if my memory serves me correctly, I might say that Jordy Nelson might have been a better route runner than DK. CT Pittman says, that's the one thing I'm 100% certain of. Tomlin will have them ready to play. It's on the players to execute. Yeah, man, I mean, you know how I feel about execution. Like I said, in every game, every single game, there's things you can look at that you feel like the head coach's imprints was on. And there's other things that you look at, and you might put it on a coordinator. And there's ultimately a whole bunch of things that you look at and you say, hey, man, the guy's got to execute. And shout outs to our O-line, man. Our O-line has been protecting Aaron Rodgers pretty well. Shout outs to those guys, man. Kenya says, I love the big body wide out from, okay, you guys are talking about college. He says more, but then we traded for DK and I changed my beard. What else y'all got? DJ Johnson, Shopping Sherlock says, Tomlin wouldn't say it if he did anyway. Okay. CT says, biggest advantage we have is Rodgers. There isn't a defense he hasn't seen. Very true. That's the thing. Rodgers is an X factor, man. You can't replace that type of been there, done that. I mean, that's your Tom Brady of the world. That's your Ben Roethlisberger of the world. You know, these guys, some of these guys have just, and honestly, I wouldn't even say that Ben has always been the most cerebral. That's not a knock on him. I'm just talking about on the same level as some of these super heady quarterbacks. Ben had enough of it, and then Ben just had an arm talent that he just trusted. And, you know, Ben can extend the play crazy. But Aaron Rodgers, man, he's just on a different level. Like, it's nothing you're going to throw at him that he's not going to at least dissect and figure out as the game goes on. Oh, yeah, Kenyon agrees with that. Yeah, I was about to say, I recall I would say that Jordy Nelson was probably a much better route runner. Jay Webb says, A. Smith has to put in a game plan that allows for us to not be predictable, a.k.a. they start most games with the play action when they don't do it on first again until the second half. Yeah. Definitely got to get out of your own way. CT says, go back and watch the post-game interview where Rodgers talks about Calvin's touchdown. From what he saw, the defense was doing until that throw. Yeah, man, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that where you having that kind of rapport and even just saying, hey, Cal, what you want to do on the backside? I think, you know, 3 front that we're doing on this side is working, but what you want to do over there? And then how he said that somebody said, hey, just go cook them. And then he says, hey, run the out and up. And Calvin Austin, what an outstanding, double move, gets homeboy on his feet. And Rodgers said he peeked over there, he saw it, and he let it fly. Like, little stuff like that, man, you just cannot, there's no substitute for that type of, you know what I mean? Debbie says, Sim, you were too quick with that thought. I was going to say exactly the same thing on Ben. Not a great decipher of the defenses. Yeah, man, I love Ben, man. I love Ben, but he wasn't Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? Like, again, Ben is great in his own right, but he wasn't always he could dissect, a lot of the stuff that you saw a lot, but he wasn't always the one that I thought about that was just beyond cerebral when it came to it. Ben was just good enough at that, and then his skill and his will took over. And cover 2 and used to give him fits when we played Cincinnati. Lord have mercy. But all right, guys, I think I'm going to get up out of here, man. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. Let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens on Monday. Hey, since we don't play until Monday, I'm going to see if I can put together a pregame, perhaps a pregame show, maybe Sunday evening, Sunday night, after we watch some of the other games. We'll see. And we'll just give our final reflections and thoughts, and we'll see. But outside of that, man, channel members, stay tuned. Got that footage coming to y'all. This is a promise. I'm going to try to get that out tomorrow. I'm home. So try to get that out as fast as I can. Got to show you some of those plays. I definitely want to go reanalyze that play that Tim as well was illustrating. So we'll discuss it. But outside of that, guys, listen, y'all know the routine, man. If you like what you saw here tonight, show some love and hit the like button. I mean, come on. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Outside of that, y'all know the PSA. I need you guys to stay safe out there. Hey, the flu is going around, so stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of you all for tuning in. And until next time, peace.